Hey everybody, it's your girl Sophia, and today I will be covering the UFC FREEDOM card with Mr. AIDANSMMA, and you do not want to miss this because this is a legendary card that's going to be talked about for a long time. But is it legendary? Is it though? But stay tuned for the rest of the card. But make sure to go follow Aiden, and all of his stuff will be linked in the bio of the video. You don't want to miss his channel. He's got awesome fight breakdowns and one of the best I've worked with. So go check him out, but go watch the video real quick, and I'll see you at the end of the video. But for now, let's get into it. That we want to get into, for UFC FREEDOM 250, we got Diego Lopez versus Steve Garcia at featherweight. Now, at first, I was kind of opposed to it. I wasn't really for it because when you look at Diego Lopez, he brings such a different type of war to the fight, and he's just one of those people that can take a lot of damage and just keep going and just eats it. And then Steve Garcia, he's also really good, but I also think this is Diego's shot to show like he deserves another title shot, so to speak. But what's your opinion on this fight?
Well, here's the thing with Diego, right? He's coming off that loss with Volk. He broke both his feet in that fight. So I am slightly worried that that may have an impact because that really wasn't that long ago, if we think about it, right? Broke both his feet. I'm sure he healed well. I'm sure he's got the best doctors and everyone working with him. He's also fought at a much higher level than Steve Garcia has ever even seen. You know what I mean? Like Steve Garcia is ranked number 9, not to discredit Steve, but I don't think he's quite on Diego Lopez's level. And Lopez is like semi-comfortable in a scramble, right? Like we've seen that over and over and over again. When he fought John Silva, the only reason he was winning, the only reason he got the win really was because he was able to get that TKO in the scramble instead of covering up and, elbow out of nowhere. And that's the type of stuff we see when people are coming forward. He has a problem when he has to come forward, right? He doesn't have a problem when he's counter striking. And that's exactly what happened with Volk. Volk doesn't necessarily put that pressure on, like, really pressure forward. So Diego was having to be the aggressor, and that's where he struggles. He's not going to have that problem with Steve Garcia whatsoever. Steve's going to come forward. He's not known for any grappling if it does get down to that. He's not used to big moments either. If you look at Steve Garcia's career, he's literally, I think he pretty much always fights in the apex. He's never really fought in front of a big crowd. And these are the things you have to look into. That very well could play a part in how this goes down. This will be the biggest venue he's ever had you know what I mean? This is on the White House lawn. He very well could, get nervous, get cold feet. Who knows what's going to happen. He is coming off that knockout win over Onama. He's on a 7-fight win streak, 15 knockouts. Like he's very, very good fighter. But I don't think he's going to be able to finish or get the finish with Diego Lopez. So that's where I'm at.
No, I agree. I like Steve Garcia, but I don't think he can mentally handle the pressure. I think the difference between the two is being on that big stage. And when you're an athlete in this type of sport, for me, like I've been able to say, like being able to compete in jiu-jitsu and everything, like trying to tune that all out in the big crowd, it's a hard thing, but you have to. So, and I don't think Steve's really been able to be put in that moment. And I think Diego's really going to give that push to him and make sure, okay, if you're going to give me that damage, I'm going to give it back. Because it's one of those things with Diego that he's built for that type of moment, because we've seen it with Volkanovski. We've seen it with so many different fighters that he's fought. So I want to say maybe a second round knockout.
Yeah,
Possibly.
okay.
I think a lot of the fights recently have been like the first round's like the feeler round to see what's really going to happen.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say second round because I think Diego is going to really be able to push the pace by then. Yeah. So what's your pick?
I agree. I think Diego's going to win. I do think we're going to see a finish. Could be second round, could be late in the first, could be early in the third. I don't know. I don't think we're going to see a decision. I agree with you there. I don't think this will go to decision just based on, off both these guys, right? Like Garcia's got 15 wins by knockout. Lopez, he's known, he's a brawler. So they're ready to get in there and strike. I don't think he's going to use his grappling, but it's not impossible. You never know.
So That being said, we got Kyle Dawkins versus Bo Nickel at middleweight. Now, Bo is obviously known for his wrestling from Penn State and being, a top division athlete. But with Kyle, his knockouts have just been so clean recently. And also, Bo Nickel hasn't fought maybe in like a hot minute. So it's coming out, not being able to fight for a long time is a lot different from not just going to the gym.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I think I want to say Kyle's gonna get the knockout because I just think Bo has to get really lucky for that shot.
Yeah.
I just don't think he's really gonna be able to. Kyle's so good at knowing his timing and knowing his spacing for him to come in and get that knockout shot.
Yeah.
So what's your opinion on this fight?
So this is hard. There was 2 fights when I was doing my breakdown and deciding my pick, and this was one of the ones where I was like, this is a toss-up, in my opinion. Despite the odds, if you look at the odds, like pretty heavy Bo Nickel favorite. And I think that's just the hype train, right? Like that's just the Bo Nickel hype train. But he's, when RDR finished him, he kind of got fraud checked there. I'm not saying he's not good. Obviously, he's a great fighter, 3 times NCAA Division I champion. He has explosive takedowns. He's coming off that win, that head kick knockout. But if you look at the people he's fought, at least in the UFC, RDR was obviously his best competition. That was his most skilled opponent. And we see what happened. So people are really sleeping on Kyle Dawkins. I agree. And don't sleep on his submission game either. He has 12 submissions inside of the UFC. Like he's very good. He's black belt in jiu-jitsu, I believe. He's only got 2 knockouts in his career, but one of them took place while his wife was giving birth when he fought Vieira there. And, so he's dedicated. He's here. He's trying to get the win. I watched some of his training. He looks like he's working really hard. The cardio, I think, is good. It's really going to depend on, Bo's never faced this type of dangerous grappling, I think, as well. Like, yeah, you're right about Kyle Dawkins' striking. I do think he'll be able to he's going to utilize every weapon he has to get this win, obviously, over Bo Nickel. This is so tough for me, though. Like, this is such a tough pick. Because on the one hand, right, Bo Nickel does get a takedown, gets into top position. How good is Kyle off his bat? We don't know. Like, there's hasn't been a lot of fights in his career where we get to really see how he's working on the ground, like, at least extensively or consistently. So it's going to be really difficult oh my God, this is a hard pick. I didn't even really pick beforehand because I was like, all right, I'm going to decide in the moment. So I think I'm going to go against you here. I'm going to go with Bo Nickel just to make it different, So I think Bo Nickel will be able to just use that pressure wrestling, get those explosive takedowns, potentially maybe get a submission, but I think maybe it will probably see a decision, most likely.
It is a hard fight to pick because it's like
hard.
I like both, and I think because of the different backgrounds and how good they are technically, that if Bo does get the takedown, it's kind of just over for Kyle. But then if Kyle's able to land that knockout, it's over for Bo. So it could go either way, and I think either way, I would be happy with whoever won. But I do want to lean towards Kyle. I don't know. It's just,
I don't blame you at all, though. Like, that does make sense.
That's the thing, though. It's like that knockout power. I can't.
It's so close. It's a very close fight. I think the odds makers are a little all over the place on this one, just because they have both. Again, it's just the hype train, right? You're only as good as your last fight. But, he had a very impressive win, round 1 submission over Mirshara, I can't pronounce his name, Gerald there last time. So it's like, don't, like I was saying, don't sleep on his ground game either. If it does go to the ground, it's position, right? And I do fear that maybe, they always say like position over submission. And I don't think Kyle thinks like that. I think he's always looking for the sub, which can help you in a lot of ways, but it might end up hurting him against Bo Nickel. So that's kind of why I'm leaning a little bit towards Bo.
Yeah, I can understand that completely. But we were talking about this fight earlier before we started, but Mauricio Ruffi versus Michael Chandler at lightweight. I'm a little nervous for Chandler because if we look at his career, everybody that really knows him from Bellator. That was where his prime really was. And I think the worry for me is that, UFC kind of picked him up kind of late. And, I mean, Chandler's only won 2 of his fights in the UFC. And
Yeah.
not saying that he's a bad fighter, but it's just like, how much more does he have left in the tank? You know, you can post all those cardio videos and say, I'm doing this and this. But look at Dustin Poirier. He was doing that for so long, and then he just didn't have it in him anymore. Not saying that he couldn't come back in there and fight. I mean, he easily could. It's just not having the want to fight again. But with Mauricio, you know, we're talking about someone that's so quick. His hand speed is so fast. He steps in and out, and he's able to move. I think he'll be able to move Chandler a lot faster than he's ever been put in that position. And I also think that Chandler, I mean, his wrestling isn't terrible, but I just don't think he's going to have a chance to get to the ground, to be
Yeah.
honest. So what are we thinking for this fight?
So I have to agree with you for sure. And we've seen Chandler, like when he lost to Patty, that was dominant. That was a very dominant fight. You know, and it's kind of a similar situation where he's going against someone that's younger, you know, more active in the fight game right now. I believe a lot faster, better striking. The only chance he really has is that just kind of, you know, what I would like to say is like Chandler's like a grenade and Ruffy's like a sniper, right? Like he's looking for those shots. His fight with Fiziev was a fucking beautiful display of mixed martial arts. I mean, that was, if he comes out and fights like he did against Fiziev, there's zero doubt in my mind he will dominate and probably finish Chandler. I mean, he's got 8 finishes himself, 8 first round finishes, 12 knockouts. He's an elite counter striker, you know, and that's the problem. Chandler will be the guy to come forward. He will be the guy to put the pressure on, stay on that front foot. And that's where Ruffy thrives. So if he attempts the takedown, I do think he learned something. His only loss in the UFC was that submission to BSD. So I guarantee he went back and trained and, you know, to work on that. He doesn't want to get taken down. He doesn't want to make it to the ground. You know what I mean? So I do think that Marcio Ruffy is going to win either very dominant decision, but most likely TKO. If Chandler got finished by Patty, I don't see a world where Ruffy can't finish him. Honestly, I don't see it.
Right. I completely agree. I think Chandler lets himself open too fast.
Yeah.
I think he's so explosive when he comes into the fight. And I wish he would keep that same pace, because as soon as he drops his guard, that's when all the guys go. That's how Patty got him. That's how
he always gets caught coming in, like every time.
It's that timing. I think a lot of people don't realize, a lot of the fight fans don't realize, is timing is so key.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to learn how to be patient in a fight because you just want to go and you want to hit. But when you don't have timing, the fight's not going to really work. So when we have a fighter like Chandler, I just think he swarms in too fast, and then he gives himself like exhausted so quick. So then he lets down, and that's when the knockout shots start coming. But I'm going to pick Ruffy, but I think I want to say first or third round. Maybe just because of the timing with him, because you never know. He might want to make this a fight that stands to the distance, or he might just want to finish it quick. So I'm going to say first or third round KO, but what are you picking?
I mean, I agree. I think Ruffy is definitely going to get the win. I do see it possible to drag it out to a decision, but if it does get finished, I think Chandler survives the first round. I think it's second or third round finish.
Yeah. Okay. Wait, real quick, guys. I know you guys see the shirt. I know you guys see that it's Hayabusa. You guys can go on Hayabusa's website right now and shop and use my code SOPHIA in all caps to save some money on your next order. From rash guards to fight gear to anything you need in combat sports, you guys can go to Hayabusa and use my code. But anyways, let's get back to the video. Okay, now we got heavyweight division. We got Josh Hokett versus Derek Lewis. And obviously this fight was made when Josh Hokett fought Curtis Blades, and that was a phenomenal war.
The saviors of heavyweight.
Right. As much as Josh Hokett might not be the smartest on camera, he's definitely a really good fighter. But honestly, you know, we're talking about Derek Lewis. We're talking about someone that just goes in there and mauls people. Like, I mean, yeah, he's had his losses, but at the same time, you cannot just say Derek Lewis is not a threat in the division. I mean, he's been in the UFC for how long? And he's done as well as he has. But he's fought the who's who. He's fought the guys that went up to get to the belt too. And Derek Lewis knows that pressure. So I think Hoka can bring a war to Derek Lewis, but I think Derek Lewis is about to give him a humbling fight that he needs, because Hoka, as much as he talks shit and stuff against Curtis Blades, Derek Lewis, he's very much on point. He's very much knows his timing and knows, okay, you want to talk, I can talk too, but I'm going to finish. So I don't know. This fight's hard for me to call. I'm leaning towards Derek Lewis, but Josh Hoka being the younger fighter with more longevity in his career, I kind of want to lean towards him. So what are we thinking?
It's hard. This is another really tough one. This is very tough. A lot of these fights are tough. If you don't look at the odds and you just go based on like what you're thinking, it's so difficult to pick a lot of these. Obviously, Hoka 9-0 on a crazy tear right now, but this is only his fourth fight in the UFC. And like you were saying, Derek Lewis has a wealth of experience. I mean, he's fought the best of the heavyweight division for years now. Obviously, he's coming off that loss, got TKO'd by Acosta round 2. But the reason that happened, in my opinion, is reach, right? Acosta has that really stiff boxing jab, and he's just so much longer than Derek. Continuously in that fight, Lewis was trying to close that distance by throwing multiple shots at once. Acosta's just faster and just has that longer reach. We're not going to see that with Hoka. Derek has actually the longer reach versus Josh Hoka. So I think that's going to play a big part in this. But also, Josh Hoka, he's not really a natural heavyweight. Like when he was wrestling, he wrestled at like 185, like Bo Nickel. He wrestled Bo Nickel. So the power. He obviously has the power. He has the knockout power, but he doesn't have as much power as Lewis. And I think the only reason he didn't get finished with Curtis Blades is because Blades doesn't necessarily have that Derek Lewis knockout power, that one hit power. So if he gets caught, like he cannot eat shots the way he ate shots from Curtis Blades. He cannot eat those shots from Derek Lewis. He will go to sleep, guaranteed. But he's faster. He has the good wrestling. We haven't really seen him use it much in the UFC, but I do think he's willing to do that at the White House to get this win. I'm sure he's got a crazy 8-rhyme, whatever planned out for if he's able to get this win here. I do think he might have the better cardio just based off both their last fights, right? Hoka was obviously tired, but he pressured through, pushed through, made it a war with Curtis Blades and was able to just, when they got out of the second round, I was thinking, wow, these guys have to be so gassed right now. And he stayed on it though. He was able to, focus. I don't like the taunting. I'm not a big fan of the flipping. I know it's like funny and like cool to watch, but in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, if that was me, I would be so upset in there. So yeah, I hope he doesn't do that, because that will be a problem if he tries to do that. And if we look at the last few guys that Lewis fought, let's be honest, like it's not the top of the top. You know what I mean? He fought Almeida, who just got cut, because he's super boring. He fought Nascimento. Like, this isn't like crazy competition. I do think, and Josh Hoka has now stepped over him in the rankings. So I think this will be hard for Josh Hoka. I also think this will be hard for Derek Lewis. I think they're both going to have a difficult time. If Lewis catches him early, it's over. Like if Lewis were to win, it would have to be round 1, I believe. I think Josh Hoka has the better cardio. So I'm going to say, I think Josh Hoka is going to win this one. I really do.
I don't know. It's hard for me because it's like to go back with the taunting. When we look back at when we talk about stuff like that, we can mention like Nate Diaz and all that stuff, and that's fine. But however, I don't think that shit belongs in the cage. I just don't. I think you should be more worried about not getting hit while doing that, in my own opinion.
Yeah.
But I want to say Josh Hoka just simply because of him being younger and just that reach and because of that power.
Yeah.
However, I don't know if you saw this, but I saw this in the Curtis Blades fight. As the rounds, he has amazing cardio. I just think he got sloppier and started swinging a lot more wildly instead of being technical. I think that's what Derek Lewis is so good at, is even when he's tired, he swings sloppy, but he's aiming right at your head, and it makes it look like it's technical. So that's the only dilemma I have, because it's like every time I bet against Derek Lewis, you can't do that because it's like you never know he's gonna
Yeah.
win. But
Well, he was a massive underdog against Taliesin Teixeira there, and he obviously, we know what happened there. He knocked him out. However, I
right.
do think Taliesin, he got hype trained too. I don't think he's been getting fraud checked like every fight, it seems now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna pick Josh Hokett. I'm playing it safe because I don't know what's gonna happen. I just think it's gonna be a war. I think it's gonna be
Yeah.
a long war. And plus Derek Lewis, he's not really known for going the distance. So I think this is a big humbling moment and a big moment for Josh Hokett. So we're gonna see if he can really stand the test and see if this is really made for him or not. But next up, I'm kind of excited to see this fight is Sean O'Malley versus Ayman Zahabi at bantamweight. Now, we know Sean O'Malley had made comments of, I'm ready to fight anybody, don't matter who. And that's totally fine. I get it. But I don't think Zahabi is very much a challenge for Sean. I mean,
I totally agree.
because, I mean, let's look at this. Let's break it down really quick. Sean O'Malley has been a champ how many times?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I mean, when we talk about Sean O'Malley, we're talking about someone that came off the Contender Series, and ever since then, he has been talked about. And that was not too long ago, but it was a long time enough to
Yeah.
know he's been talked about for years. To the point we're talking about someone's knockout power. We're talking about a championship level fight. And so he was just gonna fight Sean O'Malley. I don't know how that fight came about, but I totally get it. Sean O'Malley doesn't care. He wants just to have a fight and be on the White House card. I totally understand that, but I do think this fight could have been way planned better, and he could have had someone way different and more on his skill level. Not saying Zahibi doesn't bring some sort of challenge, but what challenge does he really bring? I mean, what has Sean O'Malley not gone through? He's dealt with wrestling for Marab. He's dealt with heavy striking. He's dealt with heavy jiu-jitsu. I mean, I don't think Zahibi is very much the challenge for Sean O'Malley. I think this is more of like, okay, Sean, go out and beat him and then get a contender shot and then go for the title.
Yeah, here
My
you
own
go.
opinion.
You're on the White House card. You're from the US. Here's a win for you on the White House
Right.
card. That's basically what it is. I totally agree with you. I mean, just think about his last fight, right? He fought Song Yadong, who, in my opinion, is a way better fighter than Zahibi. I think Song, and although that fight was like close, obviously Sean still got the unanimous decision win. And let's think about when he fought Cheeto, right? He obviously has that first loss to Cheeto, but that was a fluke. We all know that was a fluke, right? The second time he fought Cheeto, though, he battered him in the rematch, like just outskilled him, outpaced him, just looked way better fighter against Cheeto. And Zahibi fought Cheeto and barely won a split decision. So that sort of shows where he's at level wise. He is on a good, decent win streak, but he struggles to get inside, and that's going to be a serious problem against a guy like Sean O'Malley, who's great counter striker, really loopy, just super elite striking, a sniper, another sniper again. I just don't see a world where Zahibi could get a win here. I mean, obviously, everyone has a puncher's chance. He could get inside, close the distance, and hit him with something. But, I mean, how? I just don't see it happening. I don't see Zahibi being able to do that. He has been saying you're going to see a whole new version of him. Said he's been training, much harder, working on his cardio, working on everything, just trying to fine-tune his skills. You can say that all you want, Sean O'Malley's also working just as hard. He's training, Tim Welch's coach, one of the best coaches in the UFC right now. I don't see a world where Sean O'Malley loses this fight.
Yeah, I completely agree. But I'm kind of curious to see if Sean O'Malley works some type of jiu-jitsu in this fight because Tim Welch, from studying, like I love keeping up with the content, so we make sure we have our facts straight because there are some creators that don't. And for the people coming at me, that's not true. We know that I keep my facts straight. But Tim, he's been telling us that he's been having Sean work a little bit on the jiu-jitsu because you don't just go through a fight with Marab and not work wrestling, not work jiu-jitsu, especially after that, to be like to make sure, okay, if I go against Peter Yan, I'm gonna have to deal with that.
Yeah.
So with Zahibi, I mean, with the sport with MMA that we're talking about, anything can happen. I mean, anybody can land a hard shot and knock someone out. But we're talking about Sean O'Malley, the guy that's been a champ, that's on a different level. And I mean, Sean O'Malley's 19-3 and Iman is 14-2.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between that. And I just don't think Zahibi is a very much of a challenge for him unless somehow there's some miracle that the cage gets wet or something and he gets a knockout, which I highly doubt that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pick Sean O'Malley. I want to say third round TKO just because Sean does like to push the pace a little bit in his fights. So I don't really see it going to decision, but I wouldn't say I don't see it. I could see like 50-50, maybe decision or TKO. So what do we pick him?
Man, the actual way it's going to end is much more difficult than just picking who's going to win, right? I can actually see it going to decision because I'm sure Zahibi's been working on his defense. He's been tightening that up. He has decent boxing defense at least versus so I could see it maybe going to decision, but I do agree if it is going to be a finish or any type of TKO, it will be in the later rounds. So probably round 3, maybe late round 2. It would be nice to see an O'Malley finish. It's been a little while.
Yeah, I agree. But our co-main event, oh my God. I'm like really interested to see how this plays out.
This
We have
is
Alex
crazy.
Pereira versus Cyril Gane. How this is gonna play out, I am very, very interested to see because Alex Pereira likes to kind of I wouldn't say wait, but I would say he's a little bit more patient than a lot of the other guys. And also too, with John Jones not being in the heavyweight division and Alex Pereira going up to heavyweight, I mean, after Tom Aspinall got hurt, who have we really seen in the heavyweight division that's really that, big star that's very good and very exciting and the next champ? I mean, we really haven't seen anybody besides maybe Cyril Gane and maybe Waldo, but even when we gave Waldo hope, didn't go so well. He won one fight and then got knocked out. But I'm kind of curious to see how Cyril Gane puts pressure on Alex Pereira because this is his first fight at heavyweight in the UFC. And it's a big difference between the 205 and the 185 division and going up to heavyweight. Just the difference in power and the difference in ground game. Not saying a lot of heavyweights go to the ground, but when they do, you're going to deal with so much pressure compared to the smaller divisions. So I'm kind of curious to see Cyril Gane puts the pressure on Alex and if Alex can get him to the ground because Alex does know ground game, but will Alex get the knockout on Cyril though? It's such a toss up for me that it's like, I want to pick Alex, but then you're going to the heavyweight division. So it's like you can get knocked out so quickly by someone like Cyril. So what's your opinion on this fight?
This is tough. I'm not going to lie. This is the other fight that I was like really on the fence about. The odds are super close. I have a feeling when they close out, it'll be like minus 110 pick 'em. It'll just be either or. Here's the thing. Skill level, I think Alex Pereira is better than Cyril Gane. I think the only thing that I'm concerned about is just the weight, just moving up to this weight class. I mean, he started as a 185er, so this is crazy to think that he's about to fight a heavyweight. It's tough. It's really tough. The low kicks, if he can utilize his low kicks as he often does, I think that'll be really helpful. However, you also have to look out for Gane's wrestling. I mean, Gane has wrestling. People sleep on that. People forget about that. But that's very possible. And, he has eye pokes. He might poke him in the eye. We have no idea what's going to happen here. I mean, Cyril Gane, right? They both have very similar records. So Pereira 13-3, Gane 13-2. And then he's obviously coming off the no contest. His last win, though, was split decision with Volkov. And Volkov's really good. So that's not like a discredit or anything. But Alex Pereira, man. Oh my God. You just have to think about what he's done. Alex is ready. Like we saw it against Ankalaev, even in the first fight where he lost, he was able to stuff the takedowns, avoid getting taken down, and things like that. So this is so hard. This is such a hard one to pick. This is so difficult. if I had to guess, I do think, man, this is so tricky. Is he going to be slower? That's the question. Will he be slower? I've seen some training. He looks a little slower, and it's hit or miss. Some people go up and they're way stronger. Like they touch people and they go to sleep, like Ilia Topuria. Like he went up and he's just better. But this is going to be an adjustment for him. And Gon's one of those heavyweights that is fast. He's one of the faster. He's got good head movement, difficult to hit necessarily. But Alex is ready. He's gone to decisions. He's ready to go to a decision if he has to. But he also I don't think the knockout power just goes away when you jump up a weight class. I got to give it to Gon, though. I think Gon is more comfortable at the weight. I think he's going to be able to evade a lot of the striking. I do think we might see a decision here. I'm not going to lie. I know that's controversial. That's a controversial pick, but I think we might see a decision for Gon.
No, I agree. I just think Cyril's going to be able to close in the distance, and I think Cyril's going to be in there and looking for the knockout and get it. I think either by knockout or decision, I think this is Cyril Gon's fight. I think Alex doesn't really know the pressure of a heavyweight. Not saying that he can't bring that war to Cyril Gon, but I think this is his one opportunity to show is that he can be at heavyweight and stay in the division. But with that being said, we got our main event now, Ilia Topuria versus Gaethje. Now, Ilia Topuria, this is his first fight back since everything that has been going on. And Gaethje, obviously, he had a dominant performance from the fight against Pimblett. However, Topuria is just a different type of fighter. I mean, when we look at all of his fights, as much as I love my Max Holloway, man, he demolished him. Like, he demolished everybody. And Gaethje, he has a strong chin, but can he really handle someone like Topuria? I don't think so. I think this is the war that Gaethje is going to lose. As much as I want to say USA and I love Gaethje because he's from the US and I want to pick him, I can't. Because we're talking about someone Ilia Topuria. He's someone that's going to bring that war and someone that's going to push the pace. And he has all different types of levels of fighting. He has the ground game, he's striking, jiu-jitsu, boxing, has all of it. And yes, Gaethje can give him that war too. I just don't think Gaethje can finish Topuria. So what are we thinking for this fight?
I mean, me personally, it's, again, tough. It's really, really tough because, well, for one, oh, man, this is difficult. Justin is he's a great fighter, right? But he's also sloppy, right? He's not going to be, if he comes out and fights the way he did against Paddy Pimblett, he will lose. He can't get into that brawl. He can't be pressing forward because that is exactly what Ilia wants. Ilia wants that type of fight. Ilia would like for him to come forward. Ilia said in an interview he won't do any takedowns. He's literally strictly just going to wait. They're going to fight. They're going to brawl. He's claiming a lot of crazy things. Round one knockout. It's crazy, but I do think it's possible. I think it's possible for Justin to win, but I don't think it's going to happen, to be honest with you. I think Justin could get a win, but it would have to be luck, just pure luck, catches him with a shot. And even though Justin's known for his power, when's the last time we saw him actually get a knockout? Exactly. It's been a long time. You have to think about it, right? You can't even remember because it's been a while. It's been, I think 2023 was his last knockout. So we're coming off 3 years, no knockouts. And as far as Ilia goes, he just knocked out 3 legends in a row. He's ready for this brawl. So yeah, I'm going to go Ilia Topuria, most likely knockout.
Yeah, I agree. We're getting a very mentally and physically prepared Ilia Topuria. I mean, yes, I do think the comments about his family is wrong. I think that should stay out of it. I think that's where the line draws because this is a fight. This is not just talking shit. So, but when we talk about Gaethje, I mean, there is no reason for him just to start, opening up and just start having that low guard. I think
Yeah.
that's where, because when we look at Gaethje's fights, he has that low guard. He becomes very sloppy. And I think Ilya is just going to get that advantage and swarm in and just knock him out. And I think this is the fight that maybe could potentially be the knockout of the year, or it could be the knockout that Gaethje gets. I mean, it could go back and forth, but I'm picking Ilya Topuria. There is just nobody like him in that division. I mean, there's a reason why he's champ. I mean, he could leave the division for 2 years and probably come back and whoop everybody's ass because he's just a different type of athlete. I mean, he's so different that he literally trains every different type of martial art and then brings them all together in his training camp. And you don't hear that from a lot of different athletes. You don't.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes him different. But I also think, too, after this fight, it's going to be a hard decision to have him fight somebody that's really up there. Because after Gaethje, you know, who do you give that to? Who do you give Ilya Topuria to? But I'm going to say, I want to say maybe third or fourth round knockout. Just because I think if Ilya doesn't get in the first round, he's definitely going to want to make him feel punishment and definitely push that pace and keep it going. But what are we thinking?
I'm going to say first or second knockout. I think he's either going to get it right away or get it right away in the second round because that is what he wants. He's really upset about the comments Justin's been making about with his wife and everything. Not that I don't think Justin was going crazy, right? Like if this was other fighters, I mean, who knows? It could have been out of this world. But I just think that, and I don't think anything going on in his personal life is going to have any bearing on how he fights. Like we see a lot of people talking about that right now. I think if anything, he'll be a better fighter. Like we know how he trains. We know what he's like in his camps. Like you were saying, he trains each discipline separately and then combine. Like he's a different type of fighter, someone we've never seen before. And that's why he's undefeated. That's why he's the champion. That's why he has 2 belts. I mean, he is definitely the cleaner striker, like much cleaner striker. And I see him just putting one on the chin and sleeping. Just not that Justin's easy to sleep. You know, people forget that because of the Max Holloway fight, but it does take a special type of shot to knock out Justin. But Ilya's the type of guy to give that special type of shot.
No, I agree completely. And I think we're going to see that Saturday. And hopefully Ilya gets the job done. I mean, this is a card that's going to be talked about for a long time after this, too. I mean, granted, is the card the greatest card of all time? No, I don't think so. I think it was definitely hyped up because of the meaning behind it, and I totally get it. However, I do think UFC 329 and even the card that supposedly Dricus is supposed to be fighting on looks better than this. But that's my own opinion. I know people are going to come after me for saying that, which is fine. I can take it. But I just think, you know, after this fight, you know, after Ilya fights Justin, it's going to be a hard toss-up to see who he fights next because there's, I mean, who is there really in the division for him to fight that he isn't knocked out?
Yeah.
So, but, you know, we got Saturday night coming up. We got exciting fights. You know, if people want to follow you, keep up with you, how do they do that?
All right, so I'm Aidan's MMA on everything. So yeah, if you want to check me out on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, that would be great. Thank you for having me on. This was great.
Yeah, of course. And then of course, and we're probably maybe another video coming soon too, because I mean, I think we're some of the best to do it. I mean, we break down the fights so well.
That was good. I thought that was elite fight breakdowns right there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't think anybody's really touching our breakdowns right now. So, okay, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, I'm your host, Sophia, and you guys can also go subscribe and follow Aidan. All of his stuff, like I said in the beginning of the video, is linked in the bio. And also remember that the official Combat Talk podcast shirts are going to be linked in the bio of the video for the streaming channel. You guys can go on Millions and get those. And also, you know, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell so you never ever miss another episode of the Combat Talk podcast. But as always, I'm your host, Sophia, and you know what to do. Go follow all of the social medias, go buy the merch, go buy Hayabusa gear and use my code. But for now, I'll see you guys soon. and bye-bye.